far. Let me now turn to Remi Piet in Miami. He's a senior partner at consulting firm Embellie Advisory. Remi, your takeaway from what we heard from President Xi Jinping?
Well, it was a very interesting speech when you actually put in the context of recent news, both the fallout of the situation in Afghanistan and then the agreement between Australia and the US in terms of military spendings in the China Sea and towards the region. Obviously, I mean, Xi Jinping actually has been extremely balanced on this on this discourse. He clearly mentioned the need to focus on win-win partnership, to move away from zero-sum game, which is the kind of the realist tenets of some of the hawkish personalities in the Pentagon, and really try to mention the fact that the attempt at bringing democracy with military power actually has shown its failure. And on this, actually, the Biden administration might actually agree with him. The idea here is to try to open up a new stage for collaboration. There were mentions on climate change, a series of debt reliefs, especially linked to the developing nations, a question of having a specific diplomacies towards emerging markets, and that's very interesting to try to see in terms of the implication that it means for Latin American countries or African nations or other Southeast Asian nations in terms of development needs. And I think one of the two elements to keep out of this is the commitment to be carbon neutral by 2060, a little bit behind the encouragement by the IEA on reaching carbon neutral net zero by 2050, but it's still a very, very strong commitment. And also on the aspect of talking of working with developing nations in terms of a win-win partnership, as I was mentioning, and not with any kind of ability to become an hegemon. Obviously, the kind of settings of the United Nations General Assembly is the one for diplomatic discourse, but it was quite encouraging to see its focus on climate change and issues of more inclusive development and understanding of development also within host nations where you invest. So obviously those were some key interesting points.
So Remi, how do you think President Xi's message with all these various points, important points, will be received here in the United States?
Well, it would be very interesting to look at this. I mean, it's obviously more seen as an open hand, maybe for trying to work together. I mean, the reaction in the speech from Xi Jinping was, yes, alluding at potentially more aggressive, assertive, diplomacies from other powers, but he did not go in terms of any kind of aggressiveness in his tone, more calling for working through multilateralism, and that whether the Biden administration and his advisors bite into it and try to work, especially with key issues on the agenda such as climate change, for example. With the COP26 arriving in Glasgow, those are avenues for collaboration. Now, again, those are speeches that you need to look at, specific situations in different countries and different, conflict areas between the United States and China. But it was encouraging to see that at least on the Chinese side, there's a will or an apparent will for more discussion and to focus again on win-win partnership and no zero-sum game, as opposed to, some of the perceived, past experience from the United States administrations in the past.
Remi Piet, live for us in Miami. Thank you so much. And once again, thank you for watching our special coverage.